The war on terror continues this morning. The Taliban announcing early this morning that the leader of the notorious Haqqani network has died. This comes as an unnamed U.S. service member was killed in Afghanistan in what the military is describing as an insider attack. One other member was wounded. Joining me now to discuss that is retired four-star general, Fox News senior strategic analyst, General Jack Keane. General, it's always a pleasure. Good to see you this morning.
Yeah, good to see you, Maria.
Your thoughts on the developments here, the fact that this leader is now dead, does that change anything?
Well, he's been an iconic leader for some time. He's been sick, he's elderly, he was paralyzed, and he really was not involved in day-to-day operations. He turned that over to his son a year ago. But if anything, you know, his death just further commits the ideological fighters that the Haqqani people are, you know, to this cause that they have. And so they're going to continue. This network has been a real thorn in the side of Afghanistan and U.S. forces ever since 2001. And the problem is that they take up residence inside of Pakistan, in northwestern Pakistan, is where their bases are. And it's from those bases that they attack into Afghanistan and conduct operations against U.S. and Afghan forces. They're responsible for most of these horrific suicide bombings that take place in Kabul. Recently, some of that has been done by ISIS, but over these last 17 years, Haqqani has done most of all of that. Our problem has been this, Maria. We have never attacked the Haqqani network the way we did the al-Qaeda network, which is also in northwestern Pakistan. Why? Because the Pakistanis refuse to let us do that. Why is that? Because they absolutely support the Haqqani network. Their intelligence service supports them. We have evidence of their military providing training for them. They've given them logistics. They've given them resources. And this has been a horrific thing for 17 years. We're on our third president trying to do something about that. The past two failed miserably. This network continues to thrive, and they continue to kill Afghans and Afghan people and U.S. soldiers.
What is the state of this network, of ISIS right now? For a year and a half, we've been talking about ISIS being on the run, but recently we're seeing issues of in certain corners where they're back, and now you've got this Taliban-linked network as well. Where are we in the state in terms of against terrorism right now?
Yeah, well, first of all, the al-Qaeda network is thriving, and ISIS is thriving outside of Syria and Iraq. We did take their territory away from them. That was something that had to be done because that was a major recruiting tool for them and also a place where they could direct actions in other parts. There's 30 affiliates that are outside of Syria and Iraq, and there's one that is a growing menace inside of Afghanistan. The al-Qaeda itself still, their headquarters is still in northwestern Pakistan, and they have other networks in Africa, a significant one in Syria that they're about to conduct campaigns against. But the radical Islamist global jihad is out there, and it's doing well. We've been at this for 17 years, and the fact is, if we're totally honest with ourselves, despite all of our efforts, there has been expansion in their capabilities over these years.
Wow. Let me zero in on Syria, because the president has made it clear this weekend he will not tolerate an assault from President Bashar al-Assad and his allies on rebel fighters in the Idlib province. Here's yesterday's tweet from the president, and he says, President Bashar al-Assad of Syria must not recklessly attack Idlib province. The Russians and Iranians would be making a grave humanitarian mistake to take part in this potential human tragedy. Hundreds of thousands of people could be killed. Don't let that happen, the president writes. This comes after Iran's foreign minister said that terrorists must be purged from the region. What do you make of the president's strategy in such a volatile region?
Yeah, what's happening here is set the framework for everybody. The Iranians and the Russians successfully propped up the Assad regime, and what they've been doing, and that began with the Russians in 2015. And what they've been doing this last year or so is consolidating those gains. And this is one of the last opposition forces strongholds in the Idlib province. The problem is there's about 3 million people that are in residence there. Now, these fighters are largely al-Qaeda fighters, and there's about 10,000 of them strong. There's some other few thousand of other fighters there as well. This is the most fiercest toughest of the opposition forces that the Assad regime will have to deal with. And that's why they have put this off as long as they have. The Turks are also trying to deter this from happening, and they've moved some forces down into northern Syria. The president is using some rhetoric to do that. But to be frank about it, we have very little leverage in Syria to stop this. They're in the planning and preparation phase. I do believe they eventually will execute this at some point. We'll know when the campaign begins because the bombing will begin. And believe me, the Russians do most of the bombing in Syria. They've been doing that for well over a year now. And their way of war here is the same way that Putin made war in Chechnya, in a place called Grozny, inside of Chechnya in 2000. And that is to go in there with conventional bombs and eliminate as much of the population as possible, thereby depriving the terrorists, as they call them, or insurgents, from support from the people, and obviously killing terrorists as well. Wow. But the objective for the Russians will be, as it is for Assad, to go kill as many people as we possibly can, destroy their homes, destroy their facilities, destroy their hospitals, destroy their warehouses, take much of all of their quality of life away from them, and therefore dry up the terrorist support that they're getting from the people.
Still, such an incredibly dangerous situation, General.